I recently had the opportunity to interview one of my heroes, the one and only Scott Tolinski. You may know Scott as one of the co-hosts of the Syntax podcast, Level Up Tutorials, or his amazing work over at Sentry. Now, this was an awesome conversation that I got to have about how Scott sees AI evolving education, learning to code, and so much more. So let's get into it. All right, I'm sitting down with Scott Tolinski. Scott, thank you for being here. But before you even say a word, I like to do this thing that I just started with you for the podcast, which is read your bio from a random website that I found on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
This one happens to be from the Syntax website. So I think it's probably accurate, but I know because whenever I speak at a conference or do a podcast, they read my bio and it's completely inaccurate. So I'm super excited that Scott's here. Scott Tolinski is the co-host of Syntax. He even gave me a pin, so repping it today. He's the creator of Level Up Tutorials. In his free time, Scott enjoys dedicated b-boy breakdancing, enjoys pushing himself athletically through dance, and working out and snowboarding. Are those all accurate?
Wait, is that from the Syntax website?
That's what it says.
Okay, then it's accurate. Yes, it's accurate. Yes. Although I might need to take a pause on all of my snowboarding activities after some recent injuries. So I'm gonna need to update that. Yeah.
But the breakdancing, the b-boying is still.
Oh yeah, I've been dancing for about 21 years or so. I used to perform for the Pistons and the Lions halftime shows, and I've competed all over the U.S. and yeah.
How did you get into that?
I thought it was really cool when I was in high school and music videos. There's a specific music video, the Crystal Method, Name of the Game.
Mhm.
And I was like, I have to learn this. And then I just found over at the University of Michigan, which was kind of by where I grew up, that there was a group there, and I just started showing up. They would sneak me into a campus building to teach me. And then when I went to school there, I became the president of the club and just kept with it for so long. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think that growing up, I did band for like 1 year and well, several years. I played the tuba.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my jam.
Yeah.
And then I started working. I didn't keep up with anything, and I feel like I could be like a star tuba player. I don't know. It's out there, but then look at us now. So
Star
tuba player. I mean, someone needs that, I think. So
yeah.
Well, I'm super sad about your injuries. Downhill, cross country. What's your? I guess it's snowboarding.
Yeah, snowboarding. I ride very kind of freestyle. I was doing a lot of terrain park stuff in general, but I'm too old for doing this. That is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I have friends that are all like downhill or snowboarding. I'm like, I just cannot do it. I have some people that they do the split boarding.
Okay. Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
I'm way too old for that.
Yeah.
It seems super intense, but awesome that they could do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No kidding.
Well, brought you here not to just talk about breakdancing and snowboarding, although we could. But do you have like a favorite like snowboard area or mountain that you've done?
Yeah, in Colorado, I tend to go to Copper Mountain a lot. I like it because it's a big mountain, but it doesn't feel like Breckenridge or one of these like very traffic mountains in that sort of way. So yeah, I really like Copper because there's a lot of variety there, and I tend to go to that one the most.
Well, very cool. If you're ever out in Bend, come to Mount Bachelor with me.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Well, what's interesting about you is a lot of people know you from the Syntax podcast. That's how I definitely know about you. Some people may know you from Level Up Tutorials or other places on the internet. They may have seen you talk. They may have seen just you on the internet somewhere. But I think what's fascinating about you is that reading your bio, diving deep into Scott as I prepare for this podcast, which was about 20 minutes last night, was just kind of your background in developer education. And I think one thing that I love and I've been doing for 14 years as a developer advocate is really just teaching people stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's my favorite part of my job. Like just in general, I love it. But a lot has changed, I think. And a lot has come this way. Like a lot of people now have these big courses and tutorials online. You're not going to necessarily every single boot camp, or there are boot camps now. Like there's people still learning in university, but also things are evolving quickly. It's like I wanted to break down with you just developer education, how you saw it in the past, how you see it currently, and how you see it in the future. So maybe if it's okay, maybe you could kind of go a little bit deep into like your history with developer education and even the Level Up Tutorials, like how that came about, where that's at today, and how that's changing.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first started, there YouTube didn't I mean, it existed, but there was nothing on YouTube. So for me, I was self-taught as a developer, and it was mostly through either at the time there were paid courses, but the platforms were still like just a couple of them really. So occasionally paid courses, but like when I was first learning, my options were to check out books from the library. I'm getting, HTML for Dummies or whatever from the library. And um, I for some reason, like those types of reading a book and typing into a computer or whatever never really was like great for me. And it really wasn't until when I started working professionally, the video course thing started to become a little bit more prominent. Still nothing on YouTube, but I could purchase a course on a specific topic and it unlocked a lot for me. And when I realized that, like, this medium can really, like, get me going in a different way than reading a book or reading blogs, because blogs are great, but I'm more of like a, see the demo, look at the code, rather than read the paragraph of text.
Yeah.
Um, big pet peeve of mine about blogs is when they have a code snippet in the demo, but then, like, the details are in the paragraph of the text, and I'll copy and paste the code just expecting it to work, and then you read later, "Oh, this actually doesn't work for these reasons." You're like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" So for me, the video thing always, like, just gravitated towards me, and, uh, I had a lot of people tell me, like, "Video's a bad way to learn," and I just never resonated with that sentiment. It was to me, it was always like, I can put on a video, I can watch somebody talk about it and do it. And at the time, this was, like, 2011, we were buying a lot of courses. Part of, like, our education budget at work was courses, right? And YouTube, there was, maybe one channel doing video tutorials on YouTube, and after listening to so many and then seeing what was available on YouTube, there was just this huge gap in quality, and I had come from a bit of a production background. I had worked as professionally as a video editor. I had gone to school for media art, so I had an audio and video background. I was a self-taught programmer, and I was thinking, like, I could just I could just turn on a screen. I don't even have to
Yeah.
show my face. I don't even have to buy a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a microphone.
I do. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a microphone at the time. I was trying to make it as a musician, so I had a microphone. That was nice. And it's like, okay, well, let me just solve the problems that are bad with YouTube tutorials at the time, which were people were using like the little Windows microphones that were like at the time that were just came with your Dell PC or something,
Yeah.
and would just do just terrible screencasts. So I just started making them a little bit nicer and easier and like more of what I wanted to see and maybe even more aligned with what I was paying for and then releasing them for free on YouTube in like 2012. And uh, I don't know what it was about it. I had a lot of time. My wife was getting her doctorate. I had gotten a concussion from dancing, and so I couldn't do any exercise. And I was spending 3 nights a week dancing typically, and now I have this big block of time that I had accounted for that I had nothing to do. So it's like I'm going to record 3 tutorials, 3 days a week, and I'm putting out 9 tutorials a week on PHP, like Drupal, WordPress, CSS stuff, SAS, all these kinds of things. And next thing you know, I got like 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel. I'm one of like the only channels that's like doing that kind of content in that niche. And the channel just, took off and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And um, eventually led me to this career path, which again, I was doing this in my nights and weekends. I had a day job as an agency. And then, um, I was just saying the YouTube was a good opportunity for me to have it something on my resume to get better jobs. But ultimately it became my entire career.
When you started, like, were there restrictions that were put in place by the platform, by YouTube, that actually like dictated how you crafted these videos? Because I think a lot of folks, when you think about buying a training course or going to a conference and doing a workshop or thinking like these 8-hour videos, like at that time, which is 13, 14 years ago now at this point, there were the restrictions in place that like actually like, oh, this is a great platform, but it's maybe not how I wanted to teach, or like this is how I want to teach.
Yeah, it kind of aligned really well for me because at the time, you weren't penalized for really shorter videos, like 6 minutes or so. And the way I wanted to do it, especially if I was like searching for a topic, I would end up in IRC rooms or forums, and there would be like incomplete information or even just like not step by step instructions on things. Wanted so that if I had an issue, I could Google it, a video, and it coincidentally would become my video, would pop up and just give you 6 minutes. Here's just how you accomplish task. And like no fluff, no any and like at the time that would worked really well on YouTube. Like the ad revenue was good enough that like it could pay my rent. And it felt like, oh, maybe this could be a job. And then YouTube started deprioritizing shorter videos, going to more long form content. You would see ad revenue slashed and then slashed again and then slashed again. And you're just like, oh, I need to either change or, find some other way to make this, viable.
Because you've been doing it for a while, and I've been, doing things professionally for work and in my spare time as well. I think the thing that people talk about is the algorithm.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, the vibe that I'm getting from you is like, hey, I just want to teach people something cool, right?
Mhm.
And hopefully they watch it, and hopefully it helps me pay my rent, right?
Yeah.
That would be that'd
Oh,
be a nice
totally.
goal, right?
Right.
But has the actual algorithm like changed how you create content or think about the content that you create? Or you're like, no, I'm just going to do it my way.
Yeah, I think to an extent, you still ultimately then they want people to see the work. But we had, I to afford to live, I had to move to a paid model on my own platform. And so I moved to my own platform, and then I'd still release videos for free on YouTube, but then have a paid platform. When we started the Syntax podcast, one of the things was that a lot of people were doing Patreon or paywalled content.
Yeah.
And from the start, we talked about it and we determined that like we will just do ads. I know the ads are annoying, but we don't want to make people pay for anything here,
Yeah.
right? You can skip an ad. You can't like get past something that has a paywall. So like the focus on making it for free has always been such a priority for us. And that's why when the level up tutorials and Syntax were acquired by Sentry, they were able to make everything free, at least on my platform. And then now what we're doing on Syntax is I'm doing a lot of what I was doing on level up tutorials just for free on YouTube again, with no expectation that anybody has to pay for anything. So that's always been number one goal. But as far as like really playing to the algorithm. Yeah, we do some of that. We started Friday videos that are a little bit more like edutainment style, where we're playing games against each other. We're doing coding games, but they're ultimately just a lot of fun. And the challenge there is how do you keep it still valuable, like high value content? Like I want it to be fun and I want it to be entertaining, but I'm making sure that when we're doing these coding battles, it's more than just like, oh, I'm coding. It's like, let me tell you why while I'm doing this, why you should be using this transform syntax instead of this transform syntax for these following reasons. Like I just have such an like innate sense that I need to be bringing value in that way beyond just like, oh, just have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like that is kind of leads me to like the next kind of topic, which is as the platforms have evolved, I think as you talked about, like I also had a big book. My first job was like C# in a nutshell. And I think it was like that big.
Yeah.
Like, it was about the size of my head.
I was gonna say to become a monitor stand at some point. Yeah.
It's definitely, yeah. After I read about 20 pages, I'm like, I think I'm good here. Was that, there's still books, there's still videos, there's still courses, there's still conferences, there's still things that have evolved, but I feel like there's different generations of not only just how people are learning, but actually what people are learning, right? And I feel like I have teachers in my family. I have teachers that are friends that live across the street from me. And one of the things is really this impact of AI, right? Not only just for developers like learning AI and infusing AI into like our development, but actually how AI has impacted how people learn.
Yeah.
And I think as an educator, you have like this insight, not only just how like algorithms like of YouTube and of different platforms affect how you create content, or how it doesn't maybe impact your content, but actually how people are learning nowadays. So I want to get your insight on that and what you've seen through all this content, like not only just in the courses, but even in the podcast medium, right? As well, like how people are diving into it and the mediums that are there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a number of things there. I think AI has changed how a lot of us go to solve problems, right away. And so for me personally, it's changed how I solve problems. I'm not always necessarily looking for, blog answers personally. I am utilizing it for learning specific types of things. But in general, there's this weird issue where, like, if you don't know the topic deeply that you're researching, sometimes AI seems like it's better than it is at that given time because you're getting answers that seem like they're really good. But sometimes when I know a lot about a topic and I'm seeing, especially like CSS, right? When AI is returning CSS to me, regardless of the model right now, I'm oftentimes critiquing it from like a really hyper like this to me is like not what I would write myself. But other times when I don't know the topic as deeply, I'm like, yeah, this looks good. Looks good to me, right? And so I think there is like a bit of an issue where you have newer developers who might be utilizing these tools. They're either getting um, maybe not the best code back, or they don't know exactly what they don't know, and therefore, um, there's like a weird kind of like mismatch there, and that can lead some people into a position of like, all these tools are bad. I'm not going to use these tools for learning, or all these tools are bad. I'm not going to use them for development. And really, ultimately, what I think people need to understand is that these tools can be super useful for all of the above as long as you have the willingness and the patience to um, dive deeply into them and explore them. So I've noticed it going a couple ways. People pick up AI tools and they either work or they don't work. Or they work for them, they say, this is the greatest thing, I'm going all in. They don't work for them, they say this sucks and maybe I'm never gonna like I don't think this is worthwhile. And ultimately, like, I think with most things, the the answer right there is somewhere in the meshing of like how do you get the total skeptics to realize that there is value there? How do you get the people who are like very fanatical about them to be a little bit more cautious about what they're putting out into the world? So it's a major challenge in educating people about AI, but also getting people to be educated
Well,
about AI.
what is that like first drip though? Like, what is the gateway into it? Like, what would
Yeah.
you recommend? So if I'm a brand new student or I'm a career switcher, or even me, I'm just trying to learn a new technology, like what is the first sort of the trickle that I should like look at? Like, where should I look at and what should be my exploration steps? Because often for me, it's easy to just go, oh, I'm going to open up VS Code,
Yeah.
or my favorite code editor, and just say, I want to do this thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so funny because I think a lot of times that experience can be overwhelming to people, where um, where the AI is writing and updating files for you, sometimes many files at once. And sure, the workflows where you're approving those changes, those can ease some of that. But I think the best gateway for people is to even just fire up your normal AI chat window and just start asking questions about code. We recently talked about like the just the techniques of AI encoding and which ones we feel like are better than others. And the classic, let me just paste this question or paste this error into any sort of chat window and get that answer back, has been very underrated in terms of like being a low friction way to see the value in something, especially things like solving errors or just gaining insight or whatever. Because once it starts getting into your code base and editing files and it starts making mistakes or doing things that you're not planning on doing or wouldn't do yourself, you can feel very like attacked by that in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
my code. You're ruining my code. you
Get
know,
off my lawn. What's going on there? Yeah.
exactly. So just like such a gentle introduction into that to me is like a nice way for people to be like, oh, this doesn't have to be destroying the things I'm working on or whatever. And then once you find the value in that, yeah, then you can get deeper and deeper. And then eventually you're working in the terminal UIs that are just updating, tons of code for you, and you're approving PRs and you're sending PRs to an agent that's solving it for you. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely like a path to getting more and more advanced with it that I think a lot of people would really like had they have like a more gentle slope into it.
So it sounds like, I think like even in VS Code, we talk about there's ask, edit, and agent, right? That ask mode is that safe space.
Yeah, yeah,
Warm, it's cozy. It's not going to modify. You can just ask and ask and ask. When I started at Canon, my first job out of college, I walked in and the first week they gave me this binder. And they said, this is the source code. This is the reference. This is the architecture.
Oh,
Here you go. And then they said, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
oh,
And that was it. And it was like, it was setup process. It was environment variables. It was this and that. And they said, we'll see you in 2 weeks and see if you can build it.
yeah.
See if you can build it, right?
Man, that would break me. That's like, but what you could now like ask questions of that code base and really like targeted stuff. And to me, there's so much value in that, like understanding the code. Yeah.
Does it change like how you think about teaching at all as well? Like this sort of mode of like how people are actually going to learn outside of your video content. Does that trickle back into your video content at all?
Yeah, I think even part of it is when you're explaining things, especially when people are integrated with AI, being able to explain how the AI is actually working behind the scenes, I think helps people understand when to trust it, when to dive further, or how to even work with it, what's being helpful to the tool and what's not. So while I'm teaching, if I'm teaching something about AI, like really explaining the intricacies of what the heck this thing is actually doing beyond just like push button, get answer.
Yeah.
Oh, here another thing is like jargon in web dev and jargon in dev in general has always been just a massive hurdle for people. Picking stuff up. You start saying this and this and this and this and this, and there's too many terms. Terms are important. People need specific ways to describe things, but you throw 1,000 definitions at somebody and then use those words. A lot of times people aren't going to get them. So heavy use of metaphor, heavy use of like connective to real world, real life things, no matter what, if it's AI or otherwise, is always like and even I guess even maybe more now that there's so many new terms for so many people.
That's cool. No, I appreciate you kind of coming on talking about how you've evolved yourself and like the education platforms have evolved and also how AI is impacting that as well. All right, last question. Do you have a favorite episode of Syntax?
A favorite episode of Syntax. I have a favorite episode of Syntax primarily for the name of the episode. I named an episode "Keeping Up with the Kardashians" about about like keeping up to date with the new code stuff and imposter syndrome. And I showed my wife this episode, and she goes, "Wes is going to quit the podcast. He is going to quit the podcast when he sees this." And I was like, "No." And then he thought it was funny. People ended up loving the title. And yeah, so that was probably one of my more favorite episodes.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll put links everywhere in the show notes for Syntax, for Scott, everywhere. Scott, thanks for coming on and just talking about education and all this goodness.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Cheers.